music of Lviv, where it is a very special day today. Let's talk to Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine, in Lviv today, and they call it the Holy Day of Music, don't they, Joe?
Indeed, Bob. Ukrainians, especially people of Lviv, the Lviviani, love holidays, and especially in the time of war. Today is called the Fête de la Musique. It's an international holiday that began in Paris in 1982. But I think probably here in Lviv they take it more seriously than anywhere else. And throughout the whole city, starting in just about an hour, there will be music like this on the cobbled streets of Lviv. And this song that we are listening to now is actually the musical version of that poem that we heard the translation of yesterday, Magnolias and Lemon Smell, translated by Oleg Kalufas, the now fallen warrior, a great poet here in Lviv. And this band is called Periha I Batiha, and they sort of represent that Lviv, almost retro 1930s klezmer sound, that ancient spirit of the city, but with some modern spirit. And along with musicians from America and from Ukraine, they will be playing in the streets here. So, as it's hard to, as I woke up today, it's the same temperature as yesterday, the same color of sky, but so much more peaceful compared to what we went through yesterday. And there's going to be a bit of a festival in the streets, and you wonder, it's like, was that a dream yesterday? Was that a nightmare? And it was a nightmare, but it was obviously real. And it's hard for everyone to put just to believe this is happening sometimes, or actually whenever this happens. And those Iranian drones that came to Lviv, there were 3 of them. They're about the size of a Mini Cooper. And again, as I mentioned, and as we all heard yesterday, they make this haunting lawnmower sound. You can hear them coming. They're slower than a missile. And so you have time to think about it. But it's amazing that they got this far. We're hundreds of miles away from the Black Sea and from from the Belarusian border. And so it really is a chilling thought that these drones, they flew through the night, very low to the ground to escape detection. And, Ukrainians have, they could easily take these out, say, with a Patriot missile from very far away, but they can't do that because they have to preserve the best air defense for the most dangerous Russian missiles. And so what they have, this is just, scarcity of resources. They have to wait until these drones get close to the city, and then they take them out with machine gun fire and smaller missiles. And so here you really do see, this is what Russia's been trying to do, trying to weaken Ukraine, pound Ukraine, make Ukraine lose resources. But fortunately, the guys, who are firing these guns are very vigilant and were able to protect the city of Lviv.
I'm reading about the European Union, and they have a special responsibility toward Ukraine. That's what the European Commission president told a 2-day donor conference recently. And I'm thinking about that, Joe, as I look at this National Geographic beautiful laminated map that's a large map of Ukraine on one side, and on the other side a map of Europe, and it explains NATO geopolitics, some history. And let me just share this letter I got from Susie and Jack in Lake Forest. We especially appreciate the opening montage of your broadcast, but mostly, we've been thoroughly captivated by the conversation you conduct with Joseph Lindsley. The information he shares in such a composed, direct, and candid manner is award-winning journalism at a minimum, but outstanding listener service and must-listen radio for all. Please extend our compliments of great due diligence to Joseph and your producers. We subscribe to National Geographic and received the enclosed map with this month's issue. We laminated it at a high school library where Jack subs, and we thought it would be of value for you and your staff. And this is fascinating because, again, and I've said this before, the more you read about the history of Ukraine, the more we hear about it from you, Joseph, and the more we see on a map where Ukraine is in relation to the democratic countries of the European Union, the more important, the more you realize how important succeeding for Ukraine is in this war for all of us. And I would urge anybody to try to get a copy of this wonderful National Geographic map. And I know, Joe, with you, I'm preaching to the choir.
No, but it's true. I mean, it's been called the gates of Europe for so long, but it's not just a matter of geography. It's also a matter of, how fiercely democratic and free the Ukrainians are, in a way that it's a fiercer democratic spirit than you see even in much of Europe, where, life has got comfortable and people, as we see in America, we sort of drift away from our, town hall democracy. But that is very vibrant here. And that is also what's at stake. And in this case, the Ukrainians are, willing to actually do the hardest part, to do the fight. And as we think about the counteroffensive, I had a video this morning from a friend who's a soldier. He modestly goes by the name Ukrainets, which means the Ukrainian. And they had GoPros, several of these snipers, as they're at the front lines. And you can see just how steady and methodical and scary it is. But this is in southern Ukraine somewhere, and the fields are lush, and there's a lot of thick foliage along the roads. It's absolutely beautiful, but it means that the enemy can easily hide. And in this video, I could see the Ukrainian armored vehicles proceeding slowly down a muddy road on a beautiful sunny day. And then my friend and his comrades are walking along there, and their enemy fire is coming through the thickets toward them, and they're firing back. And they push forward a little bit, and then they have to back up. And even the armored vehicles have to back up. And what they're doing is they're trying to be very careful so they don't get sabotaged, and they're being very patient. And I could hear my friend talking as he's doing the shooting. They realize this is going to take a long time, so they're patient, and they're even enjoying it. I could feel that watching the video, as scary as it is. And so I think as we listen to the reports of the counteroffensive, and we listen to, for example, Putin's, nuclear threats and ongoing war, sort of scare tactics, when you see this little glimpse of the guys on the ground fighting, you can see a great sense of confidence, and that Ukrainians realize that as long as they're steady, every once in a while they have to step back, but they're completely committed to winning. And then one other sort of sign of that, General Valery Zaluzhny, who's the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian forces, the Russians tried to say he was dead a few months ago. He's been on Ukrainian TV. Clearly he's alive. And he posted a video on Twitter where he's got a little patch of Baby Yoda, the Star Trek character, or Star Wars character. And you see this even in this dire threat, this whimsicality and this spirit, which really shows people who, I think the sense I get of that is that people who are not going to be, no matter what the threat is, they're going to keep going step by step, even with a smile. And that's what Ukrainians want to show the world, not to be afraid of Putin's threats, which probably are only going to get worse.
It's remarkable when we hear how the Ukrainian people deal with the war, and as you mentioned today, even filling the cafes and listening to music while the war rages on. Joseph Lindsley in Lviv, and until tomorrow, peace.
Thank you, Bob. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?